Yo, I'm Gada and I'm making a game in solo, and this month I once again didn't do what I said I would in the previous devlog. Last month I said I'd probably go back to working on combat, that was the plan. But as the months went on and I started thinking more seriously about what the project actually needs right now, I changed my mind. Instead of pushing combat forward, I decided to spend some time polishing the AI in the guest house. That decisions mostly came from rethinking my next real milestone. For a long time, combat was the only part of the game that felt visually striking, but with all the work done on the guest house over the past year, I started to get more and more moments that just feel as interesting to watch. I feel like I'm getting close to having enough material to make a proper trailer. Something short, clear, and focused. Something that quickly communicates what the game is and what kind of experience it offers. Monthly devlogs are really important to me. They document the work, the mistakes, and the progress. And over time, they will hopefully become a valuable archive of the entire project. But they are not necessarily the best way to promote a game. At some point, I need something more immediate. Something that captures the project as a whole, and that I can show to people who aren't already invested in its development. So I think the next step for Silk Road project is to create a proper trailer. Not a long one, something very short and very condensed, but with a high level of polish and gives a strong first impression of the game's tone and atmospheres. With all the new additions to the guest house, I feel like I'm almost there. Between the cinematic sequences, the quirky mini gameplay, and the addition of facial expressions for the main character. And I have a lot of high impact moments that can be thrown in small sequences for a trailer. The only thing lacking for now is the guest itself. Right now he seems very robotic and not very well integrated with the rest of the gameplay. So the goal for this month was to bring it to a level where it wouldn't feel embarrassing to show in a trailer. At the same time, I'm very conscious of not over-investing in it. The guest characters are still placeholder models, and later in the production they'll need a full revamp so they can be procedurally generated, with much more variation. So spending weeks polishing their visuals right now wouldn't make much sense. This month was really about behavior, making the guests feel a bit more natural, making their interactions feel more intentional. And the foundation was already there, but it needed to be pushed a bit more now that a lot has been added in the guest house. So this month I finished adding all the sequences that were left to be done, and I shifted my focus to the guest AI behavior system. I want the guest to be able to interact with the environment in a more meaningful way, and eventually integrate naturally into future minigames and gameplay systems. Visually, right now, you probably won't notice a huge difference compared to the previous devlogs, but under the hood, the whole system has been improved. I spent some time building a system that allows more interaction with the environment, and that would be easy for me to extend. Now I can easily create and place all over the level spots where the guest will do an action, like sitting on a bench, leaning on a railguard or wall, or watching scenery, etc. And those can be chosen by the AI based on its proximity or mood. And creating custom routines for guests like daily behaviors, reaction, or contextual actions should be far simpler going forward. Also, if you are attentive in the last devlogs, since I changed the rig for the main character, she was still using combat animation when walking around that area. So since it's the month for polishing stuff, it was time to fix that. And I took that opportunity to explore Unreal Engine's motion matching animation system to see if it could fit into my workflow. To be completely honest, I didn't have a high expectation at first. In my head, motion matching was this very complex, very heavy system, something designed mainly for AAA productions, with large animation teams and massive libraries of animations. I assumed it would either be overkill or just not worth the setup time for a solo project. But I guess I was wrong. After spending some time understanding how the system works, I was really surprised by how flexible it is. I actually find it easier to set up than a traditional animation state machine. Instead of manually designing every possible transitions, like all the ways a character can accelerate, decelerate, or change direction, you provide the system with a library of animations like turning left or right, stopping, reversing direction, and the motion matching system continuously looks at the character's current pose and velocities, predicts which animation from the library best matches the current gameplay situation. The really interesting part is that the system scales very naturally. The more animation I feed it, the more accurate and stable the result becomes. But I don't need a massive library to get started. I can begin with the strict minimum and it already works surprisingly well. Then, if later on I have more time, who am I kidding, hey? Or more specific needs, I can simply add more animation to the library. That makes it a very incremental system. Compared to the traditional state machine setup, the amount of upfront work required is actually lower, for better result in my opinion. And now that I have a much better understanding of Unreal's retargeting tools, all of these animations can be shared across all characters. So the locomotion animations made for the main character can also be used by the guest, even if they have the very different proportions. So yeah, this month wasn't about big shiny features, it was about cleaning things up, making decisions, and setting the project up for what comes next. As always, thank you so much for your support. Your comments, your messages, and your wishlists genuinely help more than you might think. And hopefully, next time I'll finally be able to show you a clean, polished little trailer. Although now I should learn to not make false promises in a devlog. See you next month and take care.